Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Bad beer.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's another lovely episode of Dr. Homebrew, the show, the only show, I might add, that brings you live, up-to-date, heavy-hitting commentary on the homebrews that you send in, your homebrewing brothers and sisters over here, everybody. We're tasting your beers, and we're judging them, but not judging you. That's a whole different show on a whole different network. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. How you guys doing? They got Brian and Lee with me as always.
Doing good.
Hello.
What's happening, fellas?
We're recovering from the Northern California Homebrewers Fest.
That's right. How was that thing?
Awesome.
Was it?
Awesomely wet.
Damp, beer-soaked, and a lot of fun.
I was following the weather because I like making fun of people, and I saw that it was raining up in Dobbins, and I was like, oh, man, sucks to be you. But it wasn't that bad, or was it pretty terrible?
We made the very best of it, and it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, it just makes you all huddle closer together under those tents and drink beers with all your 300-pound beard-making buddies.
I see.
Yeah.
I see what Lee's up to.
Great fun.
Lee's trying to cop a feel. Any good beers?
No.
No? That's too bad.
You brought a good one, Lee.
There's plenty of good beer there. There's plenty of good
barrel-aged blend. Yeah, there were a few sours going on, a lot of good stuff.
Some sour beers.
Yeah.
Wow.
I found a Flanders Red at the end of the night on Saturday, and I had to go back and walk all the way down the hill from the campsite to get another one because it was so good.
Who had that on?
Over by Doe's, one of those booths. I don't remember which one it was. They were still manning the booth and pouring, like 10 at night. Tasty was hanging out there, and yeah.
Isn't it always the way? The last beer of the night is the best beer of the entire thing, and then you have to go looking for it, and that sounds, I don't know. At least that always is with me, which is why I don't go camping, because, you got to fight through a lot of beers to find the beer, right?
Yeah, but it's worth the challenge.
Well, I suppose
it's a lot of fun. You just show up late and ask everybody else what's good.
Yeah, that's a good move. I gotta learn a lesson or two from these things. All right, everybody, it is Dr. Homebrew, and of course, we are brought to you by our favorite sponsor here on Dr. Homebrew, 5 Star Chemicals. Everybody knows 5 Star Chemicals. They do the PBW and all that kind of stuff. I've recently used PBW to clean my shower, my bathtub. So you don't have to use it just for brewing. It makes a great Comet or whatever that powdery scrub thing is. My roommates are pretty dirty people, so our tub is gross. But with PBW, boom, done, cleaned. Ask for it at your local homebrew supply store. And then we also have our recipe sponsor, BrewToad. Now, BrewToad is an online recipe formulation software, and it's also a database. So you can go on, if you want to discover new homebrew recipes online, check out brewtoad.com. Run over there and sign up. It's a free account. Has over 40,000 brewers logging an impressive recipe count of over 170,000 recipes. And I'm sure it's gone up since I've written this. But if you want to find all the recipes that are talked about right here on Dr. Homebrew, check out brewtoad.com/Dr. Homebrew. They have all of our shows archived for us. They have all of the BJCP score sheets that Brian and Lee fill out. Uploaded for you to check it out too. Plus, the brewers are nice enough to actually post their recipes within BrewToad. Those are all linked up as well. So if you want to know precisely and exactly what we're talking about on the shows at any given moment in time, aside from the fact when I'm talking, then go over to BrewToad. Go to brewtoad.com/Dr. Homebrew. They're good people. They're really, really passionate brewers, and they're really making a very nice website. Very easy to use. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a cool community, and hey, I like what they're doing with the show. And now that we know they're going to put our score sheets up on the interwebs, I might have to start writing more legibly.
Well, I don't know. Think that'll happen?
Well, it is Dr. Homebrew, so
It's true.
yeah, write your prescription, buddy. You might get something good. You might get something else. I don't know.
Dr. Brian's Sudafed Stout.
Just writing, and then suddenly the ink trail just goes off the page. Brian is in currently recovery right now. In case you're new to this whole, home brewing podcast thing, or especially the Brewing Network thing, you're probably going, what is Dr. Homebrew? Well, I can tell you that. Dr. Homebrew, we consider ourselves an interactive BJCP score sheet. So you send us your beer. I mean the two BJCP master judges, Brian and Lee, in here will judge your beer. They will fill it out just like you got in a competition. But the best part is you can come on the air with us and communicate with us. We ask you questions about the beer, and you can ask the guys questions about what they're talking about, right? If you want to know how to add more gypsum in, if they say, oh, your water, could be a little harder. Well, okay, instead of having to slog through all that research and actually read a book, these guys will just tell you. It's all free. I mean, just, you pay the entry fee of your shipping your beer, and just ask them. They'll tell you, right? You don't have to do any research. There's no book reading here.
Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
You're encouraging to count on us?
Usually they'll tell us they'll prove us wrong sometimes. I mean, some of the brewers on the show have had a great depth of knowledge, and I'm impressed with the quality that the people that really know what they're doing. So it's a conversation. It's not just us telling them what to do.
Absolutely.
It's a community, and we're part of that community. We'll give you our opinion, and it's as valid as another judge's opinion, which might vary quite a lot. So, or just the brewer's opinion. But hey, we'll give it. We'll throw it out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that you hit it right on the head. It is a community, and it's a conversation. So if you send us beer, you climb on the line with us, as you're going to hear two guys do later on in the show, and you can ask these questions that you may not really be able to ask outside of attending a club meeting, or a lot of our guys just live too far away to do that, and they have to drive 100 miles. I'm exaggerating, to get even internet connection, even 3G. These people don't even have 4G. Can you imagine? It's terrible. Anyway,
how many baud is that?
I don't know.
I just put an age on my name.
That is true. So that's what we do. Like I said, Brian and Lee, they're both master BJCP level judges. They're here to provide you all the help and feedback that they can within your little segment. So tonight we have two fellas on. We have Constantine and Kyle, and one is providing a robust porter, and the other is a stout. Just a stout. I asked him, well, is it a dry stout? Is it a sweet stout? Is it whatever? And he goes, I don't know. I'm sorry?
I think it was a wee heavy.
Was it a wee heavy?
Well,
it may have been a wee heavy.
That's the one you sent us.
No.
Did you drink the stout?
I may have drank the stout.
You drank the stout.
What am I doing? Well, we'll sort all that out. It may be a wee heavy. You're absolutely right.
These labels look labeled like the ones that we did judge.
Oh,
so,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. You know what? That's for the other show. You're absolutely right, Lee. Thanks for correcting me.
Hey, no worries.
Find out about the stout. Tune in to the next episode of Dr. Homebrew. Release.
Yeah, that's
where
right.
We get. I feel like kind of like the Muppet Show sometimes, where it's just like
credits.
You go through all these planning, and then it's just everything crashes down, and you're like, well, whatever. What are you going to do?
That's entertaining too.
Kermit's still going to sing at the end of the night, man.
That's true. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming with us, listening to us live. If you are on the live stream, blah bitty blah, you can go check out the handsome faces of Brian and Lee right now. Instead of that huge long URL, the new.livestream - whatever, just go to thebrewingnetwork.com/TV. And there you'll see everyone's pretty faces live in color, depending if you want that. So whatever. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to have Constantine on the line, and he's going to walk us through his beer. I hesitate to say what it is because
live
clearly in color, depending. What the heck is going on? Oh, you know what it is. There we go. Sorry, everybody. I'm still trying to figure out this new software. There we go. I have to have our show playing in the background to upload things throughout the show, and I didn't close the window because then you hear me, whatever.
Do the thing, another thing.
I'm going to go take a hit of heroin, and then when we come back, we'll have Constantine on the line. It's Dr. Homebrew, everyone. Stay tuned.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star Sand, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
This Mosaic Pale Ale from Rebel Brewer is delicious.
Yes, I enjoy it too.
Wait, did you hear that? It sounds like a velociraptor.
Why would a velociraptor be here? That doesn't make any sense.
He's going for my beer.
I'll stop him.
It looks like our frightening friend just has a thing for Rebel Brewer hoppy beers.
RebelBrewer.com has the largest selection of grains on the planet. And if you order before noon, most orders will ship the same day. 2/3 of the country gets their orders in 2 days or less. Rebel Brewer, the velociraptor of homebrew shops. Why wait? Quick, flexible, speedy, fast, not slow, and fast, and speedy.
Visit RebelBrewer.com today. I'll rip your face off.
Oh, and he'll totally do it, too.
Visit today at RebelBrewer.com.
Hello, fellow BNers. This is Sully from the 21st Amendment Brewery located in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park. Before Nico and I opened the 21A and before I was a professional brewer, I homebrewed on my small 4-burner apartment stove in a back house in Santa Monica, California, making my extract brews before graduating to the daunting idea of all-grain brewing. Homebrew books and information was hard to come by back then. The internet hadn't been invented yet, along with other things we take for granted today, like electricity and potable water. One thing I wish I had back then when I was learning was a radio show that could teach me the ins and outs of brewing and answer questions that I had about homebrewing, a resource for making great craft beer. The 21st Amendment Brewery is excited to be a proud sponsor of Dr. Homebrew, a great show that teaches you what you need to know about making incredible beer. Good stuff. Listen up, you might learn something. I certainly did. And thanks for your support. Tasty Crack Games.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. Oh, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
All right, everybody, it's Dr. Homebrew. Thanks for sticking with us through all of our problems, our strife, but we rise up like a phoenix from the spent grain bin and stuff, everyone. Whatever.
Word.
God's work, huh?
On the line, we have Constantine, I hope. Constantine, are you there, friend?
Yes, I am.
All right. Thanks for sticking with us, man.
Sir.
All right, so we are having your Robust Porter. Is that correct? That's a Robust Porter, right?
It is.
All right. Before we dive into that, how long have you been brewing? What are you brewing on? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I started brewing about 5 years ago, and actually my wife bought me a first Mr. Beer kit.
Oh.
Yeah, and then so started that, then first about 6 batches went down the drain because they were not good.
You mean the Mr. Beer kit isn't the be-all, end-all of brewing equipment?
What was wrong with it? What didn't you like about it?
Well, I think the problem is I was not sanitizing correctly, and I was just I was trying to make the beer, but not following the proper directions. And then I went down to a local homebrew shop, and they got me set up on 5-gallon partial mash or extract.
Oh, cool. What homebrew shop was that?
That was here in Denver, Stompum Grapes.
Okay, yeah.
Great guys.
Yeah, I've been to that shop, actually, when I was tooling around Denver one time. I like that little place.
Yeah.
That's cool. And so you are all grain, or are you extract right now?
Well, right now, yeah, actually, I moved up to all grain about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And just got, kegel set up, and, it's a 10-gallon all grain batch.
Awesome. That's great, man. So this robust porter, what do you want to get out of sending it to us?
Just another set of taste buds and opinion, and seeing what somebody else besides my family has to say about it.
Yeah, your family can kind of cloud the judgment there, huh?
Well, yeah.
This is great, honey.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been there before. Trust me, my first batches weren't very good either. So, all right, guys, what do you think? Lee, why don't you take this one?
All right. So we weren't quite sure what kind of porter this was when we got the bottle. So I actually judged this as a brown porter, finding out tonight that it's a robust porter. Mostly just based on the color when I poured it, which is a bit on the light side for a robust porter, but probably not too bad. I just got some light earthy hop notes in the nose, some grainy cereal malt aroma, coffee cocoa notes, no esters really that I picked up, no diacetyl, DMS, maybe a little bit of a hint of a kind of musty vegetal kind of aroma. I wasn't really sure on that. Appearance is sort of a medium brown red, pretty good clarity. Pours a medium low brown head which faded to light cover, fairly fine bubbles. Rich caramelly malt flavor with cocoa coffee flavors. And a low earthy hop note. Supporting IBU bittering. It wasn't really notably bitter, just enough there to keep the beer drinkable. No esters really that I picked up. Again, I got a little bit of a kind of metallic, vegetal, almost musty note, which made me wonder if there might have been a little bit of a bacterial issue in that bottle. It seemed kind of like there was something going on. It wasn't very strong. If you didn't pay attention, I might not have noticed it, but since I'm judging it, I'm paying attention for all I'm worth. So I picked up a little bit of that. Finish is fairly sweet, kind of a coffee, cocoa, caramel flavor set. Fairly pleasant, actually. Really got very little black malt character that I noted. No, just kind of, in terms of the darker, roasty, ashy kind of black malts, more the coffee, cocoa kind of malts. Medium body, CO2 is medium low. Wasn't really warming. It was pretty creamy. A little bit of a drying tea-like astringency in the finish, I thought, that might sort of go with the off flavor I was picking up. I actually thought it was pretty good as a brown porter. It had that kind of rich caramel coffee kind of flavor that I'd want there. It was almost brown ale territory, too. I just thought there was a little bit of a possible sanitation problem in there that was making those kind of not so nice off flavors. They were still pretty background, but I was figuring over time they'd probably get worse, so might be a time to check the sanitation procedures on the bottling. Now, I guess maybe the bottling, well, that's just a guess because it's pretty low level, but it could be anywhere. Now, any sort of cold side, plastic or rubber, check for scratches, clean it out, replace it if you think there's any stains on it. Watch your bottling practices. Take apart your bottling equipment, whatever you got. If you got a counter pressure filler, make sure all the gaskets inside are cleaned, all that sort of thing. But it wasn't. Aside from that, I thought it was actually a pretty decent brown porter. But that was kind of a problem for me. So I ended up scoring it at 25. I'd probably give it 10 to 15 points higher if it didn't have that bug in it.
Okay. All right.
And Brian, I think, has other ideas.
I judged it as a robust porter. I just, if somebody hands me a beer and says, here, this is a porter, and we're in the United States, chances are it's a robust porter, so I just went with that. And anyway, yeah, in the aroma, it had a kind of a pleasant, lightly roasty note, not too heavy, but, some toffee-like character underneath that.
I get a lot of that.
Yeah.
The toffee.
That was kind of cool, but... Yeah, for what you want in a robust porter, you want to have that. Well, you want to have that roast coming out a little more over the top of that than this one does, but it's okay. It was pleasant. Smells a bit earthy and a little bit of chocolate-like notes in there, but not too heavy. Kind of light overall as far as the roastiness and the rich malt characters are, but enough complexity there to keep it interesting, I thought. Hops are pretty low and herbal, earthy. Esters generally fruity, pretty low levels, and appropriate for the style. Didn't get any DMS or diacetyl, and it was not very burnt or anything. There was no like acrid, intense in the aroma of the roast character. So color was pretty light brown and has a little bit of haze in there, it seemed like, but it still shows some highlights, kind of red orange. But if you hold it up to the light, it's pretty hard to see through it, and not just because it's somewhat dark beer. But it's hard to tell with these dark beers too. So it seems, it doesn't seem as clear as it should be, but it's not usually a big problem for these. It's just who knows what's causing that and what's in there. But head started pretty low and faded fairly quickly. Light tan, kind of medium-sized bubbles. So that's the appearance. In the flavor, the roasty malt did come across first, and it was.
Got to take another sip.
Just a little bit biting, maybe a little rough, and there's not much chocolate, but it's got this kind of rounded edge on the roast malt. It's a bit coffee-like, kind of like a cold coffee kind of thing. And it seems almost in this beer that bitterness is more from the malts than hops. There really wasn't a lot of hop bitterness in this. It shouldn't have a ton of it, but you need to balance it as well. For an American-style beer, too, you can get away with a little more of that sometimes. Not that it needs a ton of that, but yeah.
When you say the bitterness from the malt, are you talking astringency?
Well, bitterness is a flavor that's perceived on your taste buds, and so the bitterness coming, the malt contributes bitterness, the hops contribute bitterness. You can, as a judge, you can kind of tell where they're coming from. Hop bitterness kind of expresses itself in a little different way. It's a little more kind of tangy and sharp, and
so you quite literally mean just bitter.
Yeah, just bitter. I mean, actually, technically, I suppose. Bitterness is just bitterness. Your bitter receptors are firing or not.
Right. Yeah, think like little bitterness you get out of coffee. It's a roast beast, just like roast barley is. So you can get a little bitter out of that process.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so you wouldn't get it out of the base malt, but the roast you can.
Right. It was kind of medium low level on that. I thought the fermentation seemed fairly clean. I didn't get a lot of big off flavors. I could see a little bit of the vegetal that Lee's picking up. And you mentioned, did you say metallic too?
A little bit of that, and actually at the moment, I'm getting more almost a musty, wet concrete sort of thing.
Yeah.
I do get the musty.
A little musty, yeah.
What's that from again? Do we know?
Well, either he used beer to guard yeast, or it probably has something to do with a low-level bacterial thing.
That's
would
what
be
you're
my
talking
guess.
About. Okay.
Brian, and like Lee said, before I even get to feedback, I strongly suggest changing out your plastic equipment that's used for transferring into any point after the beer is cooled and fermenting. Change out any plastic tubing that's pretty regularly where you're transferring the beer through that, and just keep it PBW'd up and star sand up and in between every use, like right after you're done using it, and it'll keep happy for a while. But if you start getting some little off flavors, then just change it out. Just dump it. Plastic's cheap. The balance was definitely to the malt on this beer. It finished kind of semi-dry to me. I didn't get the big sweetness that Lee was getting, but it's kind of in the middle there somewhere. Mouthfeel wise, it was kind of medium bodied with a pretty medium low carbonation. It wasn't very high on the carbonation in this bottle. Sometimes it's hard to get, from bottle to bottle. You can see variation, and bottling for competitions, it's a challenging art. You need to really work at it to get it just right. So it's probably different if you had it in a keg. I don't know, or if this is a bottle conditioned beer. I'm not sure, but sometimes it's hard to get that balance right in a beer that you bottle for competition. So I did get a little bit of astringency here. perhaps some of the darker grains. It wasn't very creamy or smooth. But the mouthfeel was okay. Overall impression, it's a pleasant drinking porter with a lot going for it. It does seem to have at least some kind of recipe issues, keeping it from being right for the style. I would, bump up a little more of the chocolate notes in there, would make it more interesting. And I don't know. When I first tasted it, I said to back off the roasted black as malts. It's also the first beer of that night when I was judging it, and now I think I wouldn't really suggest that anymore, so I should just cross this off my sheet. The roast is at a pretty much right level. There's some other things going on here that could be explored a little bit, and I think maybe Lee does have... Maybe he's right. Maybe he has a point. But you could bump up the bearing hop a little bit just to balance it a little more, and it could stand to have a bit darker color and a little more carbonation. So, and then to avoid the astringency, just make sure you keep your sparge below pH 6 and around 168 degrees Fahrenheit or less when you're sparging. You can also do some different things with extracting the dark malts, not having them in the whole mash the whole time. If because a lot of astringency will come from the holes of those dark malts in there being in the mash the whole time, and just that material and the husk just gets sucked into the mash the whole time it's sitting there. You could even do extract your base malt beer, and we've suggested this on a show a couple times, but it's a little trick too that I got from or heard from Gordon Strong, and I've tried it and it works pretty well. Just do all your base malts and everything, and then steep the dark malts in. After you've collected your wort, just steep the dark malts to get the color and the flavors that you need from that, and then you're not subjecting the whole mash to all that stuff the whole time.
Right, just like you would doing extract.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, go back to the old days.
Yeah.
But pretty good beer. I scored it a 31. I enjoyed it. I could drink this beer. Wasn't as much to style, but it to me didn't have some very serious flaws, and it was pretty tasty. So, good, pretty decent attempt at the robust porter. Thank you.
And if I may say also with a style, honestly, I didn't really want it to go to robust porter. To me, I just wanted to make a brown porter. Honestly, I think that's what I should have named it too.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have been down with that. Yeah, it just seems very brown porterish to me.
Yeah. I think good.
Why the change, Constantine?
The what?
Why did you change it? You said you were trying to make a brown porter, but you named it a robust porter.
Well, so when I was actually originally brewed, this is my second batch of the same recipe. And the first recipe I did was about a year ago, and I submitted for competition, and it scored up really good. And so then I decided to brew a second batch, and then but that was the only on the first batch. That was the only when I submitted it, I overlooked to where it said porter. Actually, I just named it porter, and then they came back and said, "Oh, it's a good robust porter." And I was like, "Okay, it is then."
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, it is.
Don't listen to the judges; they don't know what they're talking about.
Right. Hey, Constantine, in some of your other beers, are you getting that kind of musty flavor that the guys were talking about?
I am, and so I have been for a little bit, and I force carbonate all of the beers, and the reason behind not actually, I was running out of time to get this one off into the bottles, and so I did not even counter pressure. I just opened the bottle and just filled it up.
Right from the tap there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so that's why the low carbonation. Now it has been in the kegs, for about since I sent it for about a month or so, and then it's actually tastes really great. I feel like the carbonation you guys have and me, that's totally different.
Yeah, it could be a little oxidation going on too with that. If that you said that kind of wet celery kind of, there could be a little cardboard in there or papery kind of too.
Yeah.
Just in the sample we have. Can we come over and drink your beer?
Yes, you can.
All right, let's go. Let's get in the car. Lee, you take the first driving shift.
No problem.
Do you have any questions for the guys, Constantine?
Well, and then from the feedback, so you guys would probably add, say, just add a little more chocolate to make it more, just have the more kind of porter chocolatey taste, huh?
Going for a robust porter, yeah, maybe a touch more of roast, a touch more of the chocolate, give it kind of semi-sweet chocolate edge that you like in a nice robust porter.
Yeah, I'd consider bringing up the chocolate just a little bit, and especially if you're going soda for the American-style robust porter, maybe bring up the bittering a bit, too. It's fairly sweet, to me anyways. Yeah.
But hey, be creative. Make beer for you. Don't make beer for a judge. Unless you want to, you can. But, you develop your own style, and you develop your own house character. Maybe even have your own, blend of yeasts that have lived in your brewery and somehow keep propagating those. I don't know. Be creative. That's part of the fun of brewing. And part of the thing about the BJCP is, everything has to be kind of pigeonholed. And to do a judging program, you kind of do need to do that. And I understand that, but it has its place. But there's definitely a lot of room for creativity and freedom and fun.
Absolutely.
Do it.
That's why we do it. All right, Constantine, anything else before we let you go?
Well, one other thing is I had it fermenting, and when I was transferring it, there was a pretty big layer of kind of like not on the bottom but on top. There was kind of like a cake, like a brown cake stuff on it. And now, should I have left it, because it's only been in a primary fermentation for about I want to say 7 days. Should I have left it there a little more or no?
Probably a little more than 7 days would help. Get some of that. It sounds like it's just particles from the dark malt that came through into the beer, and that's fine. It's
that are floating to the top, or it could be yeast crazy out.
Or yeast, yeah. But with a little bit of the chunky from the malt. But I think that might be what's causing some of the little clarity issue I saw. So, if you want it a little clearer, a little nicer looking, and get some of that matter out of the beer, it probably would help it to let it sit a little longer.
Yeah, a little longer might help it finish that last little bit. And you can always, if it's in a carboy, it's easy to do rouse it a bit too if the yeast is just totally settled out. Depends on the yeast you use if you're not sure it's done.
I've used the English ale yeast.
Yeah, that, which one? The
English ale, the WLP 002.
Yeah, that one tends to flocculate out fast. So it's actually probably a good idea to rouse your fermenter for a few days after that stuff crashes down, because it'll fall out too soon. It's very prone to that, leaving too sweet a beer, and diacetyl if you're not lucky. Didn't get that here, but yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing to try.
Well, good. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Constantine. I appreciate the good beer and you sending it over and all that kind of stuff, man. 5 Star is going to be sending you a packet, a little thing in the mail with some PBW and some Star Sand and stuff like that for being on the show. So,
hey, I really appreciate it.
Appreciate that, man. All right, take it easy.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the beer. Yeah, cheers.
That was Constantine. Good beer. I thought it was pretty good beer.
Yeah.
It is interesting that he has that musty flavor, and now he knows how to fix it. So, score 1 for Dr. Homebrew. All right, speaking of scoring, I don't know. We're going to take another break, and then when we come back, we're going to have Kyle on with a beer that's cold and carbonated and wet. I don't know the style because I'm pretty dumb. So see you on the other end of the jump. It's Dr. Homebrew.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
everybody. Thanks for hanging out. It is Dr. Homebrew. I tell you, you get a couple 2-3 weeks of not running the boards, and you're all kind of,
You losing your skills?
Yeah. Fingers and elbows over here. What pot to put down and whatever. So, anyway, that's my little behind the scenes. That's a behind the scenes look at what it takes to run a successful podcast, such as, what are we called? Dan
Hummus.
Dan Hummus.
Right.
Dan Hummus is who we are. Anyway, it is Dr. Homebrew, and of course, we have yet another fine homebrew to drink. This one is from Kyle. Kyle, you with us?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys?
Man, I love Skype. It's so much easier than the phone.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're right here with us.
I wish I was.
Well, I don't know. I've been real gassy, so you may want to. Anyway, thanks for sending us beer, Kyle. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And it made it here just fine. Everything's good. Before we break into it, why don't you tell us a little bit about your homebrewing experience? How long have you been brewing?
I started home brewing, and I took a class in college about 3 years ago, and did extract for a couple years, and I started all grain about a year ago, and have just been hitting it hard, brewing about 3 times a month ever since.
Wow. Did you say extract or all grain?
All grain, yeah.
All grain. Look at this guy right out of the gate. So you sent us a Wee Heavy, correct?
Yeah, it was a club brew. 13 of us brewed 5 gallons each of Wee Heavy. We were trying to go for something along the lines of like Old Chub by Oscar Blues. And then we aged it in a 55-gallon bourbon barrel for 6 months.
I knew there was booze.
Well, who's bourbon?
Bowman Distillery. It's a small nano distillery in Reston, Virginia.
Nice.
Yeah, we actually got a good, quart of whiskey in the bottom of it, too, so
yeah,
it was a win-win.
Can you call it bourbon? You can't call it bourbon unless it's in Bourbon County, right? Kentucky.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So,
and you use you only use the barrels once and all this stuff, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to piss off the hillbillies in Kentucky, dude. So,
well, there's a couple around here, too, so.
Well, that's true.
Don't want to piss them off either.
Who do you have in the hills? The Jackson White clan or whatever? Isn't it the big inbred clan up in the Appalachia? Whatever. Anyway, sorry. Let's get into your beer, man. Have you made a Wee Heavy before? Or you said it was the club beer, but is it something you've done on your own before?
No. I brew a lot of Belgians, and I've never made a Wee Heavy before. I think we got the recipe from a BYO magazine.
Okay.
All right. Kind of like an old Chub clone, and I'm a big fan of that beer, and I know someone in our club had brewed it before and really liked it, and so we thought that it would go well with that whiskey character.
Awesome. All right, Brian. Well, you're up on this beer. It smells wonderful.
Yeah, the aroma is really cool on this. It's very malty and robust. Like caramel and toffee in there. A lot of melanoidins, and boy, it's a little sharp. There's some dark fruit character in there. I thought I was getting a little acetaldehyde or something, but it might just be that boozy note. The booze wasn't really declared when we were judging it. It was just declared as a barrel-aged Wee Heavy, and we didn't know. When you're entering a wood-aged beer, you probably would want to... and this probably isn't your fault. You probably told JP everything, and he just didn't tell us squat. But
that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
declare what it is. If it's a bourbon barrel-aged Wee Heavy, declare all of that on the entry forms, and if they can fit it on the stuff that gets to the judges, then they'll do that. A good organizer will. But yeah, some nice dark fruits in there. Hops really not detected, which is totally to style. No diacetyl or DMS. I was picking up some nice vanillins in there and some oakiness. Pleasant aroma. Kind of medium deep copper colored with some nice garnet highlights. Seems fairly clear. Had a low tan head that actually persists pretty well. Kind of ring the glass while you're drinking it. Some kind of mousse like foam and a few larger bubbles in there. But you get into the flavor. I haven't taken a sip of this yet. I need to do that.
Yeah, man, drink up.
Yeah, the malt's nice and firm and full. It really has that rich kettle caramelized character that you want in a wee heavy. I like that a lot.
Absolutely does.
A bit of vanilla and smoke and wood and some definite booziness in there. The alcohol is pretty evident. Just a little, sharp and a little biting. I don't want a boozy beer to be too boozy, but I think it's just pushing that envelope a little bit, and it's like right there where you can get a little of the sharpness from the booze, but it's not like, oh my god, this is a booze bomb. The hop bitterness is low as expected, strongly malt balanced, and finishes fairly sweet as it should. That Scottish ale yeast doesn't typically leave it leaves some sweetness behind there, and it should. So good ale fermentation character, nice toffee like lingering in the aftertaste with some of those vanillins and the light booziness. That's really cool. Full-bodied beer as far as the mouthfeel goes. Medium low carbonation there, and plenty of alcohol warmth. It's a little bit kind of hot in the back of the throat. You get that. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of alcohol in the beer, and there's some. Now that we know about the bourbon too, you can tell it's definitely got some alcohol in there, and just a little on the palate in the back of the throat. You can just feel it being a little intense on your throat. And there's a lot going on there. It's slightly creamy, wasn't very astringent, just pretty smooth overall. So that's the mouthfeel. Really, pleasant drinking, wee heavy, and has some definite boozy characteristics on it. I seemed like maybe it was a little bit hot, so I would have suggested backing off the fermentation temp a little bit and ensuring a large, healthy, vigorous yeast culture is pitched to keep your fermentation happy and avoid any hotness. Or, again, it could be coming from the booze there, so I'm not. You can't really guess as the process, but if you know there's booze in it, then I would have maybe said something about the booze on my score sheet, which I didn't. But, fermentation is a big part of what can leave a little hotness in there, a little heat. Just leave it on the yeast a little bit longer to clean up any residual stuff in there, like any acetaldehyde. But I'm kind of convinced that there isn't really any acetaldehyde in this after all. I'm second guessing myself.
Hey, that's fine.
But yeah, at the bottom I wrote, I'd like to know if this is a booze barrel aged beer. If so, entrant should always declare it on competition forums. But anyway, liked the beer a lot. I gave it a 37, even not knowing it was booze barrel aged. It just had a nice balance to it and really pleasant beer. With the base style was just pretty spot on, and nice job with that. So good stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Lee, what do you think?
I'm going to second guess Brian.
I think you should.
That's my job, though, right?
It's healthy for him, right?
Well, I'm not going to argue with him. I'm just going to second guess it. This isn't about disagreement. This is just about, security.
Right.
Healthy debate.
Right.
There you go.
Healthy debate. Right. Right. You got the right slider going there?
I think so.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
What?
What?
All right. Anyways, what did I think of this beer?
What did you think of it?
I liked it. Yeah. Deep, rich malt aroma, plummy esters, some alcohol, kind of spicy alcohol aroma. Maybe just a whisper of some sherry oxidation. No hops coming through in the nose. Malt had some brown bread and caramel aromas to it. Didn't pick up any of that classic, often overdone sort of peat smoke that you get in some of these. It's all kind of very to style, except maybe the oxidation might be a little odd. But, it's big beer. Get some age on it. You'll get that there, and that actually can work pretty well. The appearance, medium brown, some red highlights, really good clarity, actually. Just a little short legs, not a lot of legs on this, but a little bit. Pours a low foam, pretty much just fades to a little light cover right away. The flavor, intense esters, cherry, plum, fig, rich dark bready malt, moderate, slightly spicy alcohol, slight solvent note to it, I thought, to the alcohol, a little bit hot. Possible low phenolic smoke, which was pleasant, so maybe the bit of that Scottish yeast thing going on. The finish is pretty sweet, less so than it might be, less so than at the start, really. After taste of all the malt, it was malt and esters and alcohol, no hop flavor really. I didn't really pick up any roast malt, maybe just a little bit. I wasn't sure, maybe a little bit of that classic kettle caramelization flavor you get in some good Scottish ales, too, or Scotch ales like this. Mouthfeel is medium-high body, a little apparent drying towards the mid-palate. Alcohol warmth is definitely noted. A little bit of solvent to that, maybe. Not really hot, but it's just a little boozy. No astringency. Carbonation is a medium-low, medium-high on creaminess. All pretty much the style, except for maybe that solvent note, because the wee heavy should be pretty clean on the alcohol. I have a lot of it. But again, this thing was sitting in a barrel, and barrels can contribute an awful lot of different character in terms of the booze, the alcohol that was in the spirits. I actually was guessing this was a brandy barrel, not a bourbon barrel, because I've had brandy barrel beers that have been converted from whatever they were to just being exceptionally fruit forward and often rather hot. And maybe that was just the brandy barrel that we were using, but I've seen a few of those like that actually. Overall, I thought it was a really drinkable beer, a very appealing beer. I would be happy to have a case of this at home. Hint, hint. Very well done. As to being the style, it was pretty nice. Good malt character. Is probably too ester forward to be really a perfect example of style. But, again, that might be coming from your barrel, from the spirits in there. It's hard to say. If you wanted to improve it, I would try and figure out a way to lower that ester profile and bring it and let it focus more on the malt, like a total real wee heavy does. They're basically beers that are about malt and alcohol. But be that as it may, it was a wonderfully drinkable beer. I really liked it. I gave it a 38. I could maybe even go up a little more, but for me, I think that was about as high as I wanted to go, given the fact it was sort of very, very ester forward as opposed to very, very malt forward. But I could drink a lot of that.
I think getting rid of that the little hot edge there would push it right up into the 40s because it's super pleasant. Like styles right on, and it's nice. It just little hot and there are a lot of fruits going on in there too. I do agree with you on that, Lee. It's interesting though. It just makes it more interesting to me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's beautiful. But it almost gets more into a territory. It's almost more similar to like a Belgian dark or something.
I can see
very
that.
very fruity and alcoholic as opposed to being all about rich bready malt.
Right. Yeah. Scottish ale should really not be all that fruity. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What yeast did you use on this, Kyle?
Because we had so many different people of different brewing levels, we just gave everybody 2 12-gram packs of SO4.
Oh, the safe ale?
Dry yeast, yeah.
English ale yeast, yeah.
All right. Well, what did you ferment at? What temperature did you ferment at?
We made the recommendation of fermenting at like 66 and 67. And I guess most people did, but I'm assuming people who didn't have temperature control probably did like basement temperature and stuff like that.
13 different temperatures, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thing that we can't get any direct handle on here was, when you got that barrel, did you like put your nose in there and give it a good sniff?
Yeah, and like I said, there was a good quart of whiskey still in the bottom of that. I mean, it smelled like just straight whiskey.
All right. Do you have a feel for if any of that fruity, plummy, figgy, estery flavor we're picking up is coming from that? I wouldn't necessarily expect that in a whiskey, but you might.
I think it is, and especially I'm drinking one right now with you guys, and I get kind of like, when you were saying acetaldehyde, I kind of get that kind of apple flavor, and that I think is definitely from that barrel. And I think a lot of those kind of fruit characters are coming from that barrel.
All right. There's a little bit of brown sugar flavor in here I got, too, which is kind of nice.
A little molasses.
It was great because we tried each one before we put it in the barrel, and it really was 13 different beers going into that barrel.
It always is. You did a taste test before you loaded the barrel for that. That's good. Good for you.
You want to check for sourness and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you have to reject anybody from the barrel?
I think one person, but it wasn't as much as sourness. It's just that I think we were being a little overcritical and over careful. I guess. Right. You would never see 13 grown men cry as fast as if we had to dump 55 gallons of that down.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've seen it.
Barrel project can be nerve-wracking, yeah.
Why did you have to dump? Why did you have to exclude that one person?
It kind of had like a little like a musty, little earthy, just not. It was. You could tell it was just a bit off from the other 12.
Okay. How did they take it?
Oh, they were fine with it. They went and they put it on and they carved it up, and it came out pretty good too. So like I said, I think we were being a little overcritical on it. But they understood,
Did any of them taste like the beer that you attempted to clone, the Old Chub?
Not so much. I guess I would have to, or anybody would have to try several times to really nail it. But it was definitely in the vicinity. Kind of a little bit of like a more Americanized kind of. Wee heavy.
Okay. Excellent. Do you want to go over your recipe? Do you have that in front of you by any chance?
Yeah, if you give me 1 second.
All right. I have it up too in case you don't.
So this is for a 5-gallon batch. We use 13.5 pounds of 2-row, 1.13 pounds of a dark crystal, 12 ounces of a Munich Light, 6 ounces of Special B, 4.5 ounces of the Weyermann smoked malt, and 3.5 ounces of the chocolate malt. And sorry, we used US-05, not US-04 as the yeast.
Okay.
And then
some Weyermann smoked malt, huh? That's where you got that little bit of smoke wisp in there, huh?
It took me a couple seconds to pick up on that too.
It's in there. Interesting.
Yeah, that was probably a good level to do it. I mean, a lot of people, when they do that for beer like this, would just add way too much and just end up with some big overbill smoke beer, and it's just that whisper that you almost don't get it, but then you do if you look for it, kind of thing. It's really nice.
Yeah.
If you're making a wee heavy without the Scottish yeast, that's a little trick, I guess. But try to find the Scottish yeast the next time if you could. But that does naturally produce a little smokiness. It's a little different variety than that smoked malt that the beechwood smoke character. But keeping it nice and light like that was a good call.
I listened to the Jamil show a lot, and I know he's talked a lot about the Jamil show.
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
I know he talks a lot about how there was not really much room for kind of smoked malt in like Scottish beers, and I can just picture his eye twitching as like 13 of us poured smoked malt into this beer.
He probably woke up in a cold sweat. He could feel it, like Yoda.
No,
it's like I can tell when there's a recipe being assembled that doesn't meet the.
His henchmen are headed your way now.
Right, just stay right there. Don't worry. They're men in white coats and big butterfly nets. They'll take you down. Don't worry about it. Do you have any questions for the guys, Kyle?
Not really. It's just one kind of off topic a little bit. We've entered this into several competitions, and we've won a couple like third and second places. But I mean, we've gone from scores like 37s and 38s, like you're giving us, all the way down to like the low 20s, high teens. And what do you think could cause that kind of disparity in scoring?
Crappy judges who don't know what they're talking about.
Are they master level though?
No, never.
Well, then forget them.
Scoring calibration is a tough thing, and scoring, a beer to what, to the style, learning how to do it right is it's kind of an art form too. It's very subjective. Judging, and sometimes you'll be judging with a person you really respect, and you trust their opinions, and you'll end up with a 20-point variance.
He's right here
in a judging pair. Yeah.
I got we've been there, done that most of the time. Yeah,
but you can trust their opinion and listen to what they're saying. Sometimes you'll pick something up that another person is putting out there, or maybe it could just be an illusion. They could feed your head full of ideas. This beer tastes like taco sauce, and it's like all of a sudden you're tasting taco sauce. I don't know. No, I mean,
Brian's a good hypnotist. Power of suggestion. Yeah.
No, it happens, but also the beer is probably improving with age. I don't have the scores had any drift up or down over time, or
they've just kind of been all over.
Yeah.
I mean, like we pulled it off the barrel after 6 months in like March, and it got a 37 in the first round of the NHC, and then it went to the next competition and got like a 21.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the reason I didn't score this beer higher, I touched on this earlier. For a Scotch ale, it's more fruity than malty.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, while it's a wonderful beer, that pushes it out of style, and you're going to run into some real style sticklers by definition when you do BJCP competitions. So you might be losing out there. The one thing I would suggest maybe to try and dodge around that, maybe put it in as a barrel aged old ale. instead of a
ale?
Scottish. Change the base style to one that would be much more consistent with this kind of fruity and malty character rather than the Scottish, which is just the Scotch, which is just be malt, and alcohol.
Would dropping the ferment temp do anything for that to reduce those fruity flavors?
Oh, yeah.
If that's where it's coming from, yeah, it would.
Right.
I mean, it
So
depends if you could also get a lot of those from too much crystal malts and things like that. And barrels are a bit of a wild card for things like that. If it had been a brandy barrel, I could see all that fruit having come out of there. I haven't seen a bourbon barrel that's done it this much, but I don't know that distillery. I've never had their product. You have to send some out next time.
We brewed this again, same exact recipe, and filled the same barrel a second time, and we just pulled it off, and it is much more, I think, malty, and definitely has more wood character and less of those kind of, fruity kind of, maybe like whiskey type flavors.
Right, that might be it.
Yeah, because he has 10% crystal malts. If you count the Munich, then it's 14%. No, 8% crystal malts within the 4% Munich. If you want to add that, that's not too much, right?
Hard to say. There's a lot of it as by mass. It's a wee heavy. It's a big beer, but yeah. But it's interesting that it comes off less fruity on your second run through that barrel. It might have been the barrel.
It's definitely a lot more subdued.
Same fermentation temps?
Yeah, the same recipes, pretty much the same group of brewers.
Did that one guy who got ousted the first time, did he get in the second one?
I think so, yeah.
There we go.
Good.
Redemption. Yeah.
Good. So, hey, question. When you drank that whiskey that was in the bottom of that barrel when you got it, did it taste fruity like this?
Yeah, I think it had that kind of like I keep going to like apple kind of, kind of like I get a little bit like a green apple note type thing to it. Maybe it's that like kind of vanilla mixed with some of the fruit, but I think it did.
All right, well, there's my guess. That fruit's coming from the barrel, and your next one's going to be much more wee heavy, and if you want to get more ribbons with this one, put it in as something different. An old ale, maybe even a strong Belgian, although it doesn't have the phenols, but that's a different story. Yeah.
Sound good, Kyle?
Yeah, sounds great.
Now you have to start a third barrel project, and
well, yeah,
use the
we
Scottish yeast.
put a porter in a port wine barrel too, so now we got a couple barrels going on.
Oh, double port.
Yeah,
you guys are barrel crazy. Woo!
All right, man. Hey, thanks for sending in that beer.
Yeah, thank you guys. I
appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Kyle, take it easy.
All right.
Bye. I never know what to say to get off the phone with people. And I'll talk to you later. In reality, I'll never talk to him ever again in my entire life. Yeah, you could just say bye, I suppose.
Just turn off the circuit.
But I just go, whatever. Anyway, good beer, right?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to do our nice little run-through about the beers that we tasted and the issues that they may or may not have had. And then we're going to get out of here. So we'll see you guys on the other end of this break. It's Dr. Homebrew.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states, plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small, single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit!
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Hey, Wooly, I'm beat. Can we find a nice tree to just hang out in for a while?
You're beat. I've been swinging through this forest for 50 years, ever since we first escaped from the circus.
I know, but there's got to be more to life than exploring this creek and trying to populate the valley by copulating with loose, hairy girls.
Marquis, stop. Look!
What is that? It looks like a man-made treehouse with fresh food and craft beer.
Welcome to the Creek Monkey Tap House, boys. Grab a seat. Creek Monkeys drink free.
Awesome! The Creek Monkey Tap House in Martinez, California takes their mission of fresh food and beer seriously. They only serve locally raised beef and chicken, as well as local sustainable produce. It's better for you and the planet, and it just tastes better. The beer and wine at Creek Monkey Tap House are chosen with the same care for the highest quality and rotate frequently to make each visit an adventure. Swing on into the Creek Monkey Tap House and enjoy a new legend of amazing food, beer, and wine. The Creek Monkey Tap House, online at creekmonkey.com.
Ma'am, I'll need to take your top off for this examination.
Oh, doctor.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
Welcome back. It's Dr. Homebrew, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the brand new rejoinder that I just found in my archive of things that didn't upload properly or whatever. I don't know.
You needed a rejoinder?
I needed a rejoinder. Rejoinder? I don't even know what.
We've been rejoinded. All right.
God bless everyone who's been rejoinded today.
Is that in New Jersey?
It might be. I don't know what it was. Who knows what it was? It was terrible.
New Jersey.
It was terrible, so it probably was. All right, let's run down the beers we had real fast. From Constantine, he had that robust porter, the brown robust porter, if you will. So we told him basically, well, at least the guys told him, add a bit more roast and a bit bump up the chocolate malt a little bit to get that kind of robust, the robust feeling going on. He did have the sanitation issue, that tiny bug that created that musty kind of earthy flavor, right? Just a smidge.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Okay, nothing too outrageous, but definitely blow up your bottling bucket, take everything apart, use the PBW, use the Star Sand from 5 Star, take care of all that kind of stuff. Replace your tubing, replace your plastic stuff, and then see what you get when you come out with that. Check your carbonation, as Brian was saying. It was a little bit undercarbonated, even though we know why. And you were saying it's a little bit astringent as well.
A little bit of that, yeah.
Okay,
keep that sparge in check.
Yeah, watch your sparge and potentially handle your dark malts a little bit differently in your mash, right?
And if you're not getting enough acid from the malts to get your pH right, you can adjust your sparge water. Although with a beer like this, it should be acidic enough in the mash to stand up to even a moderately carbonate water or whatever. But what's the opposite of acidic? Basic.
Yeah.
Alkaline. That's the word I was looking for.
It's like a battery.
Battery acid. Your water needs to be battery acid.
Soak it in a battery for 2 hours. It's battery aged. And then Kyle, what did we tell Kyle?
Send us more.
Send us more beer.
Send us more.
That's the only way to get your score better.
Send us some of those micro distillery barrels too, man. Let's get an exchange program going.
Nano distillery. I wonder how much you actually have to produce to be considered a nano distillery.
1 barrel per batch.
Basically,
in a pickle jar.
Right. It was fermentation temp, kind of lower that a little bit. Use a proper yeast. If you're going to do a Scotch ale, you should get that appropriate yeast. Just like if you were going to match a beer style from a different region, you kind of want that region's yeast. Right? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. You could even listen to Jameel and skip the smoked malt in that case. You could just get it all from the yeast.
That's true. You could, but smoked malt's real good.
The smoked malt worked in this for some reason.
It kind of did, right?
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it gave a nice little whisper of smoke. They didn't overdo it.
That would be easy.
What the bad problem with that usually is. Yeah, and the other thing I would say on this is if you make a Scottish ale and it comes out tasting like something else, maybe give it a different name if you put it in a comp.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
Yeah, if you want your ribbons. Otherwise, you can just enjoy it all.
Right. All right, boys, what do you say we get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
We should just put a disclaimer that everything we say is complete and utter BS. And, the past errors on shows, if you mess up your beer because of us, you can't blame us and come sue the Brewing Network or anything like that because...
That's right. But even with all that...
We don't have any money.
Everything we say is right.
We need someone to talk really fast to say...
All right, I want to thank Constantine and Kyle for keeping us filled with beer. We really appreciate that. And like I was telling Constantine, our lovely people at 5 Star Chemicals are going to be sending you guys a nice care package. I believe there's some Star San, I believe there's some PBW, and there may be some other goodies in there. I'm not really entirely sure. You'll have to let us know. So if you want a nice 5 Star Chemicals care package and you want to be on Dr. Homebrew, send me an email. Send me an emu. Write a letter, tack it onto your emu, and send it to jp@thebrewingnetwork.com, and we'll get you going on the Dr. Homebrew show.
Could be self-delivering.
Could be. Oh, self-delivering emu. I like that. Also, if you're looking for the recipes that we talked about today, head on over to BrewToad. You go to brewtoad.com/Dr. Homebrew. Not only can you see the recipes, you can just try to decipher and decode the BGCP score sheets, and you get to download the show from them if your RSSL 9 feed or whatever it's called doesn't work. Anyway, brewtoad.com/Dr. Homebrew. Thanks a lot, everybody, for sticking around. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Okay.